Welcome to Roosevelt Live. In this segment of the show, we're going to talk about something that's I'm sure is near and dear to a lot of people. I know, including myself. I've touched on it, at least not this part of the subject, but on veterans. Usually we say something about veterans during Veterans Day, but something just came to my mind recently, and I felt the need to reach out and say something about the veterans of today, outside of the normal everybody bandwagon hopping because it's a Veterans Day or something like that. Because I mean, obviously, I come from a family veterans. Both my brothers are 20-year veterans of the Air Force and Army, respectively. My father was a World War II veteran, military police officer. So I have a history. I have nieces and people that are serving right now today. I have a niece that's over in Guam right now, and she's doing her part as a military female. And so I was just wondering, I have friends and other family members that have served, cousins and stuff that serve in the military. They come from a background of people, like a lot of Americans have. Either you directly or indirectly know someone that is a veteran or was a veteran, be it male or female. And one thing that struck me was that it seems to me that veterans, they're not being treated fairly, in my opinion. You are, in some cases where you were drafted, we're talking about people from World War One, World War Two, we're talking about people from Vietnam, we're talking about people from the Korean War, we're talking about people that was actually drafted. Hell, drafting was brought into the military. Not that they volunteered necessarily. But with those people in general, they didn't have choices really. I mean, what are you going to do? Be a draft dodger? Most people didn't believe in that. In those eras, people went and served the country like they were told to do by the powers to be. But then coming back from these wars and not being treated fairly, people can't get jobs, or people now are at veterans hospitals that's not up to par. I mean, we've all seen the news and the programs where the different veterans hospitals around the United States are in second, maybe third hand situation, not third hand, but a third state as, and it's not number one. The facilities are not what they should be for people, men and women that have gone out and risked their lives, and in some cases lost their lives, and in some cases lost limbs and other body parts trying to serve and do what the United States government asked them to do. And in my opinion, the United States government should make sure that every single veteran has been taken care of to the highest degree. It's not acceptable to have veterans out here walking the streets, of veterans out here asking for food on the corners, of veterans out here lame, in wheelchairs, legs missing, arms missing, no place to go. You see them with the decorations on their the decorated emblems on their hats, on their shirts. I'm not talking about people that's faking it. I'm not talking about people that's trying to pretend to be veterans so they can get some type of benefits. I'm talking about the true veterans of America that went out there and fought. I'm talking about from the very first war we were in to the day's war we're in now. Every single veteran should be taken care of to the fullest extent. If a veteran gets injured in any way, he or she gets injured in any way, the government needs to make sure that that person is taken care of, as I'm concerned, for the rest of their lives. If they cannot due to their injuries, get a job that's going to keep them out of poverty, then the American government should make sure they gave the ultimate sacrifice, okay, to serve this country. And it's unacceptable for the country not to go out and reach out to those veterans and give them everything humanly possible that he or she needs to function in America, in society. It's no exception to secondary, second par type of treatment for these people that come back and served. Every time I see someone that's being treated or not treated in a lot of cases. A lot of times I talk to veterans that don't even want to go to some of these veteran hospitals because they say the service is not good. They feel the doctors are not adequate. They're not up to par. And that shouldn't happen. The federal government, if we're going to send people to war, to put their lives on the line, and in some cases lose their lives, then we need to take care of these people to the fullest extent, not barring any expense. Barring any expense. You do whatever you have to do to take care of these people. We do it for everything else. We do it for stuff we don't need to do it for. Let's do it for the veterans. Let's stand up. Let's not just talk. Let's actually do it for the veterans. Not like talk about it and, when it's Veterans Day, come around, everybody's out talking and flying their flags and, and saluting. No, let's do it all the time. When I see military people in stores, when I see military people in restaurants, I see military people anywhere I see them at. When I identify them, I see them in uniform, I say stuff to them. Thank you. Thank you for out there protecting the country. Thumbs up to you and sacrifices you and your family are making to go out and do things. Don't just look at them and say, "Oh, they volunteer for the military and they ride on Easy Street." It doesn't matter if they're volunteer or not. The point is, as long as they volunteer, and when the call come to go and serve and put their life on the line, as long as they're going, they got my vote. As long as they're going, they always get a thumbs up from me. There's always a thank you for going out there and serving the country and trying to protect the country or trying to do whatever it is that the powers to be told them to do. Some people want to argue the point and say, "Oh, well, we're not over there for this, we're over there for..." I don't care what they went over there for. As long as they went like the government told them to do, as long as they're doing what the government told them to do, they're putting their lives on the line every single day they're out there in the story. And when they come back here, all people that serve in the military should be heroes. Unless you've done something illegally, you should be deemed a hero. You go out there, you put your life on the line for this country, you're a hero. He and she. It doesn't matter what is male or female. They all don the uniforms of the United States military and they need to be treated as such when they get back here. They need to make sure that these people are taken care of from their medical needs, psychological needs, any type of needs they have. They should be taken care of. No veterans should be on the street. No veterans should be rolling around in broken down wheelchairs with missing limbs and crutches that all torn apart, clothes that's raggedy and dirty because the government is not looking out for the people that looked out for them. It's a disgrace. America needs to step up when it comes to this type of activity. Need to make sure that these people are taken care of in every way humanly possible known to man because they have given the ultimate sacrifice when they've gone out and do what they need to do to keep this country that we call great in the status that it's in. Each individual is doing something. It might not seem like it's big, but collectively it's huge. Those are just my opinions. I think that we need to step up as America, and we need to make sure that we treat veterans as they should be treated. First and foremost, give them the undivided attention and care and need and income that they deserve after going over and having their legs blown off, going over. And any veteran that's disabled, whatever the disability is, the American government should make sure. If that person doesn't have legs, then they should make sure that anything in state of art out there that they could get to get them back up walking, they should be given to them, not charged to them, given to them. If they need a wheelchair, it should be the best that's on the market. If they need a van to get around with, it should be the best that's on the market, no matter what, because they have already sacrificed their body, their mind, and their soul. And now it's time for the government to give back. I know you can't give back their body, you can't give back their mind, you can't give back their soul. What we can do is make the remaining body, mind, and soul that's left as comfortable as possible by giving these people what they need to move forward and live out the rest of their lives with some pride and dignity that they spent and the pride that they felt when they put on their uniform of the United States military to go out and serve proudly as an American. Now we need to make sure that we treat them with the same type of respect that they have done when they went out there and fought for this country. Those are my opinions. This is not Veterans Day, people. This is not a bandwagon day where we just hop on and say things because it's Veterans Day. Every day is Veterans Day. Because every day there's a veteran out there that either he or she is suffering in some way, shape, or form from some type of problem that they've had after going to war and watching people, the trauma of watching people being blown up, the trauma of watching children blowing themselves up, the trauma of having to maybe fire on children, because us as Americans don't do that kind of stuff by nature. So when in Vietnam, when these kids were walking up and blowing themselves up and doing things, a lot of the time it was hard for those Americans to respond to that stuff, and they lost their lives because they couldn't react to these children coming up on them like that. There are stories out there every day. There's nightmares. I've heard them from people that are veterans that sit down and told me about Vietnam, told me about the struggles they went through, told me about losing friends, told me about losing people in their platoon. It is rough out there, and we need to step up and do something about it. Make it a priority today to step up. And when you see a veteran out there, he or she, you see a man or woman in uniform, say something to them. They appreciate it. Tell them how you appreciate them out there, even if they're not over in Iraq or Iran somewhere right now. Maybe they've been over there already. Maybe they're going later. Maybe they're doing their job right here at MacDill Air Force Base. Whatever it is, they're still in the uniform of the United States of America, a military uniform. And when you see them walking down the street, at the parks, at the stores, at the restaurants, speak to them. Give them a good thumbs up. Tell them how you appreciate them. They appreciate you from appreciating them. I assure you that. I've never had a negative response yet, and I've seen a lot of people, and I've had a lot of conversations, and I don't say much, just enough to let them know that I recognize that they're out there doing what they do, and that me and my family appreciate what they're doing to help keep America the way it is. Think about it, people. The next time you see a man or woman in uniform, maybe think about what I said. Just speak to them. As a matter of fact, you don't have to say that. If you just give them the thumbs up, they can read that. They understand what that means. That means you appreciate what they're doing. That means keep up the good work. Job well done. It has a lot of definition to that. Just give them the thumbs up. They would accept it. I don't suggest you doing thumbs down type of stuff. If you're going to do that, keep it to yourself. And if you're going to do that, I don't know why. So these are my opinions. You know this is a show about opinions. If you've been watching Roosevelt Live for all the seasons or some of the seasons, you know I speak a lot on the fact that this show is based on my opinions. And I'm not one to be, trying to push my opinions on anybody else. But I like to talk a lot about how I feel about issues. And I'm very passionate about those issues. And anybody that, once again, I always say that agree or disagree with me, feel free to email me either way at liveroosevelt@gmail.com. And you always go out and check out segments of the show from season 1, 2, 3, and now in 4 on YouTube, youtube.com/Roosevelt Live. Welcome back to Roosevelt Live. In this segment of the show, we're going to talk about the Birtha bill. The bill that I guess I'm assuming it originated out of Arizona. A lot of things happen in Arizona, it seems like. I never recognized so many things happen around and about in the Arizona area. Because I always seems like something happening there. We're in 2011, people. We're in April. And believe it or not, these people have actually went out and tried to construct some type of bill that would not allow the president to get on the ballot in Arizona if not producing some claim they haven't seen some birth certificate and this and that and the other, bunch of who shot John crap. I know that the governor over there, she vetoed the bill, and not because she's a Barack Obama supporter, but I think they're concerned that this bill by itself will create more bad than good along the way for potential candidates running for different offices throughout Arizona, and maybe even some other states that think about adopting the same type of bill. I think it was 12 other places out there that was thinking about the same thing. And I listened to the guy. He was just a guy. I guess he over in Arizona. He was saying, well, when I'm running for office, I have to do this and that and the other, but the president only has to fill out one paper. Well, hey, look, this didn't happen yesterday. Okay, if there's all of a sudden something wrong with how the president, now President Barack Obama, if there's something wrong with the way papers are signed or the lack of papers and the lack of information, it's been going on like that for years, people. Now, I'm not one to always think something's racial, but in this case I have to wonder, because we didn't complain about anybody else. Of course, they're going to say, well, nobody else's birth certificate was not secret. Apparently, he isn't either. The state of Hawaii has repeatedly said over and over and over and over again that this is not an issue. That they produce paperwork. Oh, they haven't produced the right paperwork. What paperwork is that? Well, the birth certificate, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that. Listen, if I don't know nothing else, I know this. Barack Obama would have not became president of the United States of America if any of the opposing people that was running against him thought that truly he was not an American citizen. Because this is not a job. There's no higher job than the presidency of the United States of America. So the people that was running against Mr. Obama would have done everything in their power to make sure they exposed it. It was nothing to expose because there was nothing there. Somebody created some story that just tried to run amok with it. And now here we are getting ready. We're in the second quarter of 2011, and we're still talking about the exact same thing. If people in Arizona or other states don't like the up information that they say is needed to run for president, then change the freaking rule. The rule's been in place, the law's been in place for the person that stands for the presidency for years. Why is it an issue now? Why is there something wrong now? To me, that's suspect. That something would be wrong. 2008, there was something wrong. 2009, there was something wrong. 2010, 2011. What happened to the other years? Since 1776. Is there been anything wrong since then? We're talking about quite a long time, since 1776, like 200 and, what are we talking, 240 something years or whatever it is? It's been a long time. And now all of a sudden there's something wrong from 08, 09, 2010, and 11. Now we have to re-examine the president and how he gets on the ballot in different states. I have to say, without a shadow of a doubt, that I feel a little racism in that statement. Because it doesn't make sense. We ain't worried. And I don't want to hear no stuff about we ain't worried about it before because nobody else had the same cloud over their head that he has over his head. Oh, baloney. There's a lot of people got a lot of clouds with their freaking head. We just overlooked them because we wasn't interested and worried about it, because it's the first time that African American it came in. And by the way, while we are identifying him as African American, let's not forget the other half of Barack Obama. I mean, obviously his mother is Caucasian. Let's give that lady some credit. I know she's not alive today, but can you at least give some love to the rest of the family? Give them a little credit and stop trying to push all the stuff off on the African American people in this country. I mean, I know they're happy about it, but in general, I like to recognize all the person's background. I mean, obviously he's not just an African American. I know the United States government seems to deem, and I've said it before, anybody that has a little bit of black or whatever you want to call it in them, they just seem to forget the other part of the person's, the person's race. Somehow that keeps happening. I'm not sure why it's happening, but it's happening. Why would not recognize the other half of that man's race? Why are we only looking at one side of it? Why do we name him the first African American president? Why would we name him the first president that has both sides in him? Well, I don't want to say it because I don't want to say it in the wrong way, but obviously he's half of both. Therefore, why can't we recognize that? It sounds stupid, doesn't it? Of course it does. Why couldn't he just been Barack Obama, President of the United States of America? And hopefully, after his time served, whether he's a one-termer or two-termer, hopefully the next time an African American is running for president, it won't be packaged up as African American. Why can't it be best packaged up as a man? We don't talk about all the people that came before Barack Obama, the 43 people that came before him, or how many people came before him. We don't talk about the 43 that came before him. We don't talk about them being white Americans. We never bring that up. We never talked about the fact that George Bush was white. We never talked about the fact that Ronald Reagan was white. We never talked about the fact that Bill Clinton was white. So why do we talk about the fact that Barack Obama is black? Why? Why? Sometimes I say in America, we've come so far until we've going into a circle and going right back to the point we started from. We can't see anything because we can't stop seeing color. That's the problem, people. It's all about the color. People get denied all they want. They can deny. I don't care how many times they deny it. It comes back to the same thing because we did not bring up the fact that these other presidents before him, the 43 before him, was Caucasian. We never talked about that. Why we keep talking about him being African American all the time? Someone says, well, because he's the pioneer. I know he's a pioneer. That don't mean anything. He's still a human being first. He's still a human being. He's the president of these United States, of this America. Happen to be part African American. So people want to talk about that all the time. All I'm saying is that there's been people before him that we did not automatically point out their race. Why are we pointing out his race? Because like I said, America could say and criticize other countries and talk about human rights and talk about what Japan is doing and this and that and the other. But I'm telling you, when you draw a circle, right where you start is right where you end. Remember that, people. That's what a circle is. It goes back to the beginning. It ends at the beginning. America, we're in a circle. We're in a circle, people. And until we get out of that circle, we need to draw a straight line. Because right now, we're in a circle. And that's sad. Oh, people can always say, oh, you guys always complaining about something. Well, hey, look. If I never had my feet burned, then I don't care how many people have burned their feet. I do not know what it feels like because I never had mine burned. So I can complain that the people that had their feet burned need to stop complaining about their feet being burned. It can't be that big of a deal. Get over it. It's ointments. You can get doctor's care. That's a metaphor, people, because if you haven't been an African American, don't tell somebody that's African American how they feel and how they should be fixing things and how they stop complaining and how it ain't that bad and stop being so sensitive. And if you haven't been in my shoes, if you haven't put your feet in there and walked in my shoes as me, then don't tell me how my shoes feel when they're on my feet. Don't tell me whether I need some doctor's inserts in my shoe. You think, what is he talking about? Because I'm using these strange metaphors. You know what I'm talking about. People that's listening, if you're paying attention and you're not sleeping, like those African controllers, then you know what I'm talking about. Don't try to walk in my shoe, and don't try to tell me how my shoe should fit on my feet. Don't tell me which way to put the shoe on. Don't tell me how to tie the shoe up. Unless you've been in my shoe at the same time, in the same state of mind, and in the color skin that I'm in, then don't tell me how my skin color doesn't make a difference. I didn't draw the circle, America. America drew the circle themselves. When you start and you finish at the same location, we're not in a good position. Do that mean that people of color shouldn't go out and work hard and try to achieve something? No, it doesn't mean that. Of course you go out and work hard and try to achieve something. Shouldn't sit back on your hands and complain about what you haven't gotten. I've never been an advocate for that, but I'm not blind either. And I realized that there are people out there that are still trying to behind the door, trying to hide in a covert way and do things, and then try to, and contrary to what's going on, then try to say, I didn't know, I didn't understand. Kind of like that ding dong lady, Marilyn Davenport. Okay, if you've seen the TBT like I seen it, and I saw it on the national news, and I read it in the paper, where she went out, and I don't know if she created the parody, the illustration that was in the TBT. I'm not saying she created it, but she made it. I know one thing, the comment that she had saying where it shows the trio there, and the daddy has a monkey, I guess a person's body, but a monkey's face and head. Then I guess the next person in the trio is the female mother that has a monkey head and a person's body. And then the baby, which represents the baby, actually has Barack Obama's face on that monkey with just the monkey ears. And the statement saying something stupid like, now we know why he doesn't have a birth certificate. Well, that's very inflammatory. So anybody that sit there and made that statement, and that lady Marilyn Davenport out of Orange County, Florida, out of Orange County, California, not Florida, out of Orange County, California, that I understand, that's a part of the GOP there, okay? This is the kind of rhetoric that's going on, people. This is the kind of things that are being said, and then people wonder why folks are upset. They say, oh, what you upset about? Well, you were upset with what Kobe Bryant said, right? Cost him $100,000. That's kind of steep, I thought. So we're upset about this, too. You depict the president as a monkey, and you think that, and then in your twisted way of saying, in an undertone way, if I offended anybody, if you offended anybody, this lady is not 12 years old. She is an elderly woman that, you know, her counterparts try to play it down and say, oh, she's a Christian woman. Let me tell you something about a Christian woman, okay, in this case. You know how many things America has done underneath the word Christianity? Please don't ever say Miss Davenport is a Christian woman. Man, America hung people, and at the same time was in church every Sunday. Praising God, they said. Praise God and pass the noose. Don't ever tell me about Christianity and not being racist. Somehow, it does not run hand in hand, people. People believe that it's okay to do these things, and at the same time, hide behind the cloak of their religion. Now, I'm not going to say all Christians are like that, because obviously they're not. But there's some ding-dongs out there that are twisted, and I'm clearly, Miss Davenport, in my mind, is twisted. She does not need to be representing any party out there, as far as I'm concerned. She needs to be resigned. And then she tried to go back and make another apology. You know, I mean, after maybe somebody came to her and said, hey, listen, this is not the 60s and 40s. You can't get away with these statements anymore. She seemed to be an elderly person, so she must go back a few years herself. So she probably thought she was still living in those, you know, like that thing Gallagher stuck in the 60s type of thing. She probably thought she was still stuck in the 20s, where she can make these asinine statements about people and then say, well, nobody got mad when we made statements about President Bush. What president, what kind of statement, when? Then when did we call the president a monkey before? I don't remember that. Yeah, there's always parodies in the paper. We always see them in the little editorial sections. If you read the paper, you see them in different Washington Post, Times, St. Pete Times. All the different papers have them in there. But I don't recall anybody putting a picture of the president face on a monkey and then saying, now we know why he does not have a birth certificate. That is implying somehow that monkeys don't have birth certificates. I said it again, people. Whether you vote for the president or not, that's your prerogative. But I think there are certain lines that people shouldn't be crossing. And I think when people are, even if he wasn't the president, anytime you associate monkeys with African Americans, you're already going to have a problem. Those are certain things and certain race of people you cannot go and say, because it's going to be a problem. And it's not just African Americans. I'm sure there's things with other races that you would say that would create major problems that they would not appreciate. In some, oh, you're too sensitive. It's not being too sensitive. She's a ding dong, and maybe she need to go turn in her whatever, her robe, maybe get her Ku Klux Klan robe out of the dry cleaners and turn it in. Now, people say, what do you mean? I'm just doing what she do. She figured that this is why he doesn't have a birth certificate. I'm figuring that's why she doesn't think it's a problem, because maybe she's a Klan member. Maybe, well, she sits at home. Maybe she sits at home by herself with her sheet. She just don't have any. She probably don't even have sense enough to put holes in for her freaking eyes. She's sitting there wondering why she's in the dark, not realizing that the sheet doesn't have holes in it. Duh. A ding dong. She is a ding dong. Anybody that makes a statement like that, like I said, I can't say that she produced the actual pictures. I don't know I don't know the origin of where the pictures came from, but I know that she definitely had that text written in there, and she may have even created the pictures. I do not know. But what I do know, bad move. And what I do know, the little weak apology that her counterpart, that her member over there tried to give on TV was a waste of time. To say she's a good lady, to say that she's a Christian woman, that she don't wish harm on anybody, that she didn't know the fallout from it. Well, then she's stupid. That's what it sounds like. She's saying she's stupid. That's what it sounds like he's saying in her defense. And if that's her defense, she's stupid, then he's stupid. Because that's the best defense you can give. That, well, she didn't know. Now it's been explained to her. Explain to her. So what you did? Sit down with some Crayola crayon, got the crayon out, drew some cartoon stick people. Maybe used the black color crayon in the crayon color scheme of things, and showed her that this is black representing African American, this color is white representing white America, and this color is brown representing brown America. How did you do it? Did we take out the Lego blocks? What did we get silly putty out? Did we like make little molds with silly putty? What did he do to explain to her? Because he made it seem like she was dumb. He made it seem like she's not sure what she did, and that she's a Christian person. I'm telling you again, America has done a lot of things underneath the name of religion. Just like they complained about other countries and other people in their faith doing things when it comes to Muslims. They say a lot about, well, America's done a lot of things underneath the cloak of religion as well. Maybe not to that extreme, but there once upon a time in this country where people were actually being murdered. And then folks were following the church on Sunday with their Bible in their hand and a noose in their back pockets. So don't tell me about religion and Christianity and being a racist. One has nothing to do with the other. Shame on him for saying things about true Christians out there that would never think or say anything as crazy and convoluted as she did. I would say find out people that don't like it, bark at her, find out about her. And like I said, she's a GOP member over in Orange County, California. Look her up, Marilyn Davenport. Look her up, send her some emails. She should resign. Somebody say, well, that's in California. Roosevelt, you're talking about something a couple of thousand miles away from here. I don't care where it's at. It made the national news. To me, it's in my backyard. That's the luxury of having internet these days. You can bring things 3,000 miles away to your backyard, to your front desk, to your computer, to your lap, into your bedrooms, into your offices, driving down the road, on your cell phones. You can bring it right to your doorstep. You can Google her and bring her home right to your home. See exactly what she's doing. How many sheets she's got hanging on the what's that, little clothes hangers in her backyard, little clotheslines. Let's see how many she got. We check out, see what she got her dry cleaning done from, because she might have a whole bunch of sheets in there being cleaned. Never know. That's just my opinion. Something that I'm entitled to underneath the Constitution. Freedom of speech is called. And I'm going to continue to voice my opinion. That's why I'm here. That's why I pay to be here, so I can do that and hopefully continue to do that. But it's not a laughing matter to me. To me, it was disturbing. Like I said, to repeat myself, a circle, when you draw it America, it brings you back. The end brings you back to the beginning. That means we haven't gotten very far in this country. Drop the circle and draw a straight line. Once that line is drawn, at least we're walking away from, or being led away from where we started, and we're heading in another direction. But as long as there's a circle, we're just coming back to the same old things. That's my opinion. You can email me whether you agree or disagree. If you email me at liveroosevelt@gmail.com. You can always go out and check out the segments of the show. Like I said, we're at youtube.com/Roosevelt Live. These are my opinions. They're not the opinions of the station. Don't call and complain to the station about them. Complain them directly to me, or give me some credit, whichever one you want to do. Welcome back to Roosevelt Live. This segment of the show is kind of staying on the line of the presidency. Donald Trump lately has been out making noise, let's put it that way. He hasn't officially said it, I guess. I haven't heard the actual announcement, but he has been making noise about the presidency. He said something the other week was stupid, though. I mean, Donald Trump is a man that obviously has made a lot of money in this world. a billionaire to what degree. Some people suggest that maybe it's not as much as he say. I don't care. Whatever amount of money he got is more than what I have. I can assure you that much. So I respect him for that. But even people with money say stupid things. And I remember a couple of weeks ago he said he wanted the president, once again, I'm going to go back to this birth certificate thing, he wants the president to show him. I don't know why him. He's a Joe citizen. I don't care how much money he has. He's still Joe citizen when it comes to the president. He says he wanted the president to show him the birth certificate, and once he has it, he see it, then he'll be satisfied. Who is he? I don't understand. Who is Donald Trump to tell the president to show him personally? If that's the case, I'm going to see, can I call the president and kind of ask him if he want to just hang out and shoot some pool. I like shooting pool. Think that I could just kind of pick up my cell phone and kind of text him with, I know he has a BlackBerry too. Maybe I can text the president with my BlackBerry and want to know next time he's in the Tampa Bay area, maybe he and I can hang out at my house where I got a nice pool table and he and I can shoot some pool. Doesn't that sound stupid? Of course it does. Just like it sounds stupid that Donald Trump says if the president personally will show him what he needs to know about his birth certificate, then he would be satisfied. That's stupid too. That's just as stupid. That's why I made that statement about the president and I hanging out and shooting pool, because I know how stupid it is. The president does not answer to Joe citizen, at least not in stuff like this. Maybe the president will have a conversation with somebody as he's being out and about these days, getting ready to launch his 2012 campaign, I'm sure. And I know he does talk to Joe and Joanne Citizen, I'm sure of that, but not because they demand that he personally do something to satisfy them. It's ridiculous. And like I said, Donald Trump made his money real estate, and I know he has those casinos that gone bankrupt 3 different occasions, and that's not a negative on him because things happen. When he's still one of the biggest names out there when it comes to business. I mean, everybody knows Trump. I mean, he was trying to do some stuff here in Tampa at one time, down on the Channel side with some of these condos or high rise that was being built, but something fell through, and I guess it didn't happen. But I respect him for his business savvy when it comes to that stuff, and his popular show, the Apprentice, and now Celebrity Apprentice is kind of like they took over the airways a little bit and doing some things, and even I have taken a glance at it, and that's highly unusual because I don't watch regular programs like that. I'm more of a sports and news type of guy. But if Donald Trump does run for president, I can't say this. I have never and have no intentions or would want to be or any clout to do so is running for president. But I know one thing: when you in big business like Donald Trump is in, and everybody knows that everything you've ever done is going to have to be revealed. All your tax returns, all your businesses, your family life, your religion, your ex-wife, your children, everything is scrutinized. I don't know if Mr. Trump wants to go through that type of scrutinizing. I mean, in order for him to get on the ballot for the president for the Republican Party. And I don't think the Republican Party necessarily wants him on the ballot as well. Now you got Sarah Palin on one ding-dong end, and you have Donald Trump on the other. Now there's a difference between Sarah Palin and Donald Trump. I'm never going to compare those two together because I don't think they're comparable whatsoever. I consider Sarah Palin not having a lot of common sense at all. I don't consider Donald Trump like that. I think that Donald Trump's got a lot of sense, a business sense, and he's made his way and navigated through life and took an advantage. I understand that sometime early on in his life with some of them government grant programs early on, from what I understand. I have no information on that at hand, but that's what I understand from some literature I read years ago. That may be true, may not be true, and if it is true, good for him. And if you can get government grants and loans, I wish I could get me a couple of them. So I don't complain for anybody that did take advantage of it, because hey, that's the American way. We're a capitalistic society. You should try to capitalize every chance you get, as long as you do it the legal way. But I don't know if Donald Trump will make a good president. I don't think he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the presidency. I just don't think the man knows. I mean, he knows business and real estate and stuff like that. But man, we're talking about a whole nother animal. We're not talking about no game. This ain't no game. I think in a way he's just boosting publicity for his television show. I know people say that's not true. Some people, like Piers Morgan, of course, that took Larry King's spot. I understand he's good friends with Donald Trump. Matter of fact, he was on his first Celebrity Apprentice show, and he claimed to be good friends with him, seemed to think that he's legitimate about running for president. And that might be true. I don't care one way or the other, because running for the presidency of the United States is not about saying stupid things like he said about Mitt Romney. And he said something the other day. He says, well, they asked him what made him better suited, and I'm paraphrasing, he said something stupid in my opinion, like, well, he's a small businessman, I'm a bigger businessman, I got a bigger network. That is a stupid statement. So your only reason for being able to feel like you are more qualified than Mitt Romney, not that I'm a Mitt Romney supporter, But the only reason why you feel like you're more qualified because you feel like you have a bigger net worth. That is not a smart answer, Donald Trump. I know it's going to be hard for people to tell you that. You have advisors out there, but that was a boneheaded answer. The last thing America wants to hear, Mr. Trump, let me give you some unsolicited advice. We're in a bad economy. People don't have any jobs. Gas prices are soaring through the roof. And the last thing we want to hear from Mr. Trump is that I have a bigger net worth. Because you guys are the ones that are not being taxed in the first place. You guys got those fancy tax breaks from y'all friend George Bush that allowed these tax breaks to go on, and they still go on right now. But I don't think, not that you don't have a right to make that money, Mr. Trump, you have every right in the world to make that money. But people don't want to hear that because then right now, people are not feeling it. If you out there, bragging about and boasting about your huge net worth and that you run a bigger company than he's ran and you've employed more people than he has, this is not about getting another building. This is not about, getting another TV show. This is not about buying more real estate. This is about the presidency of the United States of America. And maybe somebody needs to tap Mr. Trump on his shoulders and tell him that. Because I think he's just a tad bit off base with what the presidency is about. It's not about who has the biggest bank. I mean, President Bush, I'm not saying he was a billionaire, but President Bush once owned part of or all of the Texas Rangers. And I tell you one thing, you are not broke if you own a sports franchise. I can assure you that. So President Bush was doing his own thing. President Bush the son. Well, they come from a family of money anyway. But you can't just go around spitting out the fact that you worth a lot more money than somebody else. I mean, that's nice to brag on it, I guess, but this is not a bragging contest. If it was, he would probably be in first place. That's not the case. All I know, I would like to see him run because it's gonna really be interesting when they start combing through his every move that he's made throughout his whole life, because that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna have to produce tax returns. He's gonna have to produce all kinds of things. Stuff that most people in his position I don't think really want to make public. Because it's always going to be something in your closet that's going to create a problem. Always. No matter if it's legal, or if it's legal, illegal, or just immoral. It's going to be something that's in your life that's going to create a problem. We're human beings. We automatically, through our life, start stacking up skeletons in our closets. Will they be bad ones or good ones? They're there, people. We all have them. From the time you were born, you start building that base. And then keep on building throughout your whole life. And when you try to run for president, everybody, that's why when people say things about the president and the person sticking all this nonsense, the reason why I get upset is because of the fact, and I'm not a Democrat, I always tell you that because it's true, I'm not. I get upset because I feel like I'm sure that they put him through every scrutiny they possibly could, and justifiably so. And any other person that has run for president, I remember old Gary Hart back in the day, when they were complaining about him and his maybe having extramarital affairs. Of course, he said, oh, if you think I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, why don't you just follow me? Well, boom. They followed him, and guess what happened? He was doing exactly what he claimed he wasn't doing, and bam, he dropped out of the race. It was over with. It was history. His political career was history. Don't invite nobody to follow you if you know you're out there doing something you ain't got no business. I like John Edwards, okay? We know what happened with him and his mistress, the camera lady that was, hey, that camera lady was making good money. And she was making 6 figures working for John Edwards. Well, now, why not? She was working for him apparently off duty and on duty since they had a kid together. So I'm not just bashing her. It's a state of fact. And we know what was going on with John Edwards. His wife was suffering from cancer. And at the same time his wife was suffering from cancer, the man was out there having affairs. Woo! People. That is bad. His political career, I'm sure, was ruined, and justifiably so, because that sucks. End of story. If he didn't want to have his business out there in the street, then he shouldn't have been running for president. So Donald Trump, with all the different wives and different things he's gone through, and the different ups and downs in business, and all these other things that people do, be careful of what you want to go out there and promote, because when it comes time for show and tell, we'll find out pretty soon, because this is April, and you only got just a couple of months left. Somebody has to declare something. Somebody got to say something pretty soon, because there's not that much time left. November 2012, people, is the election. November 2012 is the election. Okay? We're in April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. We're looking at, year 19 months from now. We're either going to be with the same president or somebody different. 19 months. So someone has to get out there from the Republican Party and stop being scared. Stop running scared. What y'all waiting on? Get out there and tell people who's going to be running. Everybody's talking about they testing the waters and this and that and the other. Come on, people. If you won't change, and you say, you say you won't change, go change something. I'm not a Republican, so people whine about that too. I told people all the time, I am an independent. I have voted for Republicans and Democrats. I never voted straight ticket, no matter what. I never just went down the line and voted out Democrat, went down the line and voted out Republican. I've always mixed it up because I vote what's important to me. I don't see Republican and Democrat. I see who I agree with. Whatever they happen to be in their party affiliation is on them. But I don't look at it that way. That's why I've been registered independent my whole life. Because I don't want to be attached to these other parties necessarily. So people won't say, well, he's bashing this person because I'm not no Democrat. I'm not no Republican. And I voted for Republican presidents and I voted for Democratic presidents. And I always do that if I believe the message that I'm receiving and I think that the person is qualified to do what they say they're going to do. And if I believe it, then I'll vote for it. And I'm not going to let anybody from a Democratic standpoint tells me anything or from a Republican standpoint tells me anything because I'm not subject to be swayed from one side to the next. I'm straight down the middle like I've always been when it comes to this type of stuff. I'm going to continue to do that. I'll bash the president, I'll bash other people, and I'll do what I want to do on Roosevelt Live. These are just my opinions. They can always be the same way. They don't really waver from anything. I think about these subjects, and I want to bring them to the people. And I want to tell people what I'm thinking about it. And I hope that the people saw, when they do see the show, saw the interview that I did with Linda Wilcox down in the Ybor City area for the old historical blue ship. I hope that when they saw the interview, they were interested in that because, like I said during that interview, of course, and this is another week, so you probably say, what's Roosevelt talking about? But if you saw the show that ran yesterday, which will be a week from now when you see this show, you know what I'm talking about. So remember, people that happen to stumble up on the show by accident now, we're on Tuesdays at 6:30. Now you might say, how can I tell somebody that's watching for Wednesdays? Well, hopefully they'll look at the message board. Or hopefully they'll accidentally run into the show on Tuesdays and realize Tuesday, or if nothing else, they'll probably go back and look at the show on Fridays. Some people know that the show come on Fridays. So when they look at Friday's show, they'll hear me say that we're now on Tuesdays on the first run. So that'll be okay. So no problem. Kudos to them. These are my opinions, though. I'm always going to have them. Hopefully in the next few weeks, you're going to see some more people coming along, some more interviews, some more subjects that I know that is coming up, and especially people, it's gonna get sticky pretty soon because once that presidential election gets close, we're probably gonna be on the streets every day, interviewing, getting information, hopefully finding out, maybe if I'm lucky, some of these big people that come into town will give small Roosevelt Live an interview. You never know. You never know. And me and my producer would be happy about that, I'm sure, if all of a sudden one of our clips made the national news. Who knows? You never know. Stars are born every day. And some stars are already there. They just haven't an opportunity to shine yet. So we consider ourselves stars. We're waiting for our opportunity to shine. Welcome back to this section of Roosevelt Live. We're going to talk about, it's an update, of course, on the Barry Bonds perjury trial. And as we all should know by now, that all those charges that the federal government started with, wasting all our tax dollars, fooling around with nonsense, now has dwindled down to him being found guilty of obstruction of justice. And the obstruction charge only makes sense either because somehow the obstruction charge is about him being evasive when it came to answering questions about his use of or use of using or not using the steroids or whatever. So the other three charges that was remaining, and they, of course, to go back and reiterate, when this first started back, I don't know, when he testified, I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago. And maybe 9 years ago. It's been quite a long time since he testified, and all this time, he's always screwing around with the government, with our money. It's hard to, it's weird, it's rough out here, people. The federal government needs to pay more attention to what they spend our tax dollars on, because they kept reducing and reducing and reducing these charges, and then right before he got into court, I understand that they reduced from 5 to 4, and then he was found guilty on one. The other 3, there was just a hung jury. It's just mistrial, basically nothing. A jury of 8 women and 4 men were not able to find him guilty of these other 3 charges. Only one, and that's a felony. But I assume his lawyer's going to go and fight against that and say, how can you hit me with an obstructive of justice charge if indeed the other 3 were pretty much whitewashed? So I'm sure his lawyer's going to go and complain. And even if they don't be successful, the worst he's going to get is some probation. The guy is not a career criminal. He's never done anything. He's never been arrested for anything or anything like that in his life. He doesn't have a past record. So what are we wasting our tax dollars for? Because when it's all said and done, and all these years later, and the best you could get is one conviction, it's not good. Not good for the government case. And then to make it so bad, from what I understand, Barry Bonds lawyers, which someone said he had 12 lawyers. That's one for each juror. I understand that they didn't even put on a defense. They didn't even put on a defense. I guess they felt that the prosecuting case was so weak, they didn't even bother to put on a defense. They pretty much, when they turn came, they pretty much went to closing, and then went to closing arguments, and that was it. Crazy. And then if you don't put on a defense, and then the prosecutor waits 12 days, and then at the end they can't get a conviction, then maybe they should have never brought it in the first place. And I got news for Roger Clemens. You may want to look up Barry Bonds lawyers, because they may not come after you now, and then they may come after you even harder after what happened with Barry Bonds. Because they tried everything to get Barry Bonds. Everything. I mean, they went after his trainer. His trainer went to prison, I think twice. He never would testify against Barry Bonds. He never would. What for the guy that I think owned Balco. I don't know why he wouldn't testify. Maybe obviously he didn't want to, because he would rather go to jail than do so. And that's exactly what happened. I think he went to jail twice. But either way, he never testified. And without him, I guess they just should have went on by their business. I just think the federal government should just leave these stupid cases alone. We wasting money. Talking about doing some cutback. We ought to have some cutback on some of these. First of all, I don't even know how the government got involved in baseball. That's what I couldn't understand in the first place. How did the government even get their behinds involved in what was going on in baseball? We got a lot of big drug dealers in this country that the federal government should be turning our monies toward trying to resolve that problem if you're going to resolve the problem. But worried about whether somebody lied, worried about whether or not Barry Bonds was injected by somebody other than his doctor, worried about whether or not the guy, the trainer, whether he lied or didn't lie, whether he testified or don't testify, putting Barry Bonds' ex-girlfriend on trial that he dated for 9 years and got married in between dating her, which made her a bitter pill, I'm sure, or made him a bitter pill in her mouth. This is not good. I mean, I don't understand. It's got to be the weakest case I ever heard of, that you would waste all this time bringing somebody to court, and then the defense don't even put on one, and you still can't win. Maybe you felt you won because you got one conviction. It's crazy. It's ridiculous, and it's a waste of time and money. And at the end of the day, what happened? If the judge doesn't drop his last charge, he'll wind up with that felony, which is bad for him, because it's not that he's going to jail. Just who wants to be a felon? I mean, who would want to be? I wouldn't want to be. I'm sure nobody wants to be, other than these cuckoos out here continuing doing things they shouldn't be doing, and then getting themselves in trouble. But I'm sure that he doesn't want that on his record at the end of the day. But that being said, after all this time was wasted and all this money was spent on both sides, this all we got to show for it? Obstruction of justice? That's it? That's it, people. Federal government, shame on you for wasting the taxpayers' dollars on nonsense at the end of the day. Utter nonsense. If you couldn't get the guy, and I was a little concerned when I heard 8 women versus 4 men, because I really thought, and I don't want to sound like a male chauvinist in any way, but I thought, okay, are these women, are they going to be into sports? Do they really know what's going on? I mean, hey, look, I'm not trying to be funny. There's a lot of women athletes out there, but there's a lot of non-women, there's a lot of women that are non-athletes too. And they may not even understand. They may even know who Barry Bonds was. Who knows? Everybody don't know who he is. I mean, it's not like he's a Michael Jordan winner. I don't care if you watch basketball or not. I think everybody knows who Michael Jordan was, and he is. But everybody may not know who Barry Bonds is, in my opinion. I mean, he's a big man in baseball, but he may not be that known outside of circles. I mean, I don't think Michael Jordan can go anywhere where he wouldn't be recognized, but I believe Barry Bonds could if you're a non-baseball fan, and maybe you may not know who he is. Maybe you wouldn't know as a man, but maybe as a woman, if you was a non-baseball fan, you may not have a clue who Barry Bonds is. You may know the name, you may not know the face. Michael Jordan is synonymous. No way you're not going to know. It's just who he is. He was a phenomenon. And so was Barry Bonds in his own way, in his own sport. But I mean, I don't know. I just think that it's too much time being wasted chasing these athletes. I don't think they should be chasing Roger Clemens either. Some people might say, well, if he lied to a grand jury, and then that way, that's a different story. I understand that. The United States government makes it look like lying is such a big big deal. Watch that. A big deal. The United States government lies all the time. But they say, well, we're not. You guys are lying on the oath. That's different. Okay, I can accept that. I just don't think we should spend millions of our taxpayer dollars chasing these people for these lies that they're allegedly told, when there are actual criminals out there that should be being put in jail, and not these people that doesn't have a history of committing any crimes and wasting our tax dollars on these people, like the Barry Bonds and the Roger Clemens, and even though Marion Jones, she came back and confessed, and she did do 6 months for what she did, and she lied about juicing, and she paid the price for it, and it ruined her career. But in a funny twist, she came out of jail, and next thing I knew, she was playing in the WNBA. And I think she was playing there at an old age, because when I say old age in basketball is old age, I think she's in her 30s. She came in as a rookie and already in her 30s. And I don't know what kind of money the WNBA make. I have no idea. I wouldn't even look that up. I wonder what kind of money. I know they don't get money like the NBA, but I just wonder what kind of money they make. Probably more than the average person out here making, I'm sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you think the government was justified in chasing Barry Bonds, I don't know. I think it was ridiculous personally. And not because I'm a Barry Bonds fan. I'm not a fan of Barry Bonds. I'm not even an avid baseball watcher. I'm one of those people who only watch during the playoffs. But I just think that our dollars could be spent better elsewhere, doing things that make more sense to the government, and trying to help some people, like I mentioned in the earlier segments, looking out for the veterans. Money that we spent chasing Barry Bonds, we could have been spending on a new wheelchair and new crutches, and maybe redesigning somebody's house so they can get around better, and maybe getting them some type of treatment if they need something for depression and stuff like that. I think the money could be spent better. The fleecing of America is always out there, people. We have to do something different. Those are just my opinions, though. You can always tell me what you think about it. You can email me at liveroosevelt@gmail.com. Welcome back to Roosevelt Live, Season 4. A little quick update for you. The Bishop Eddie Long, we know about a year, well, actually last year when he hit the news, it was a pretty big story. Everybody talked about the Bishop Eddie Long out of Atlanta, the big mega church there, some 10,000 members. He was accused allegedly of using his status to seduce young teenage males into sex acts, said trying in a nice way, but of course it was alleged. I know he said early on that he was gonna fight the case, but people say a lot of things. I'm not saying the man's guilty, because I don't know if he's guilty or not. I am concerned when I hear 4 different people say some similar stories that don't know each other, and allegedly they don't know each other. And the problem I have, yes, somebody could make up a lie on you and say things as our hearsay. It's not like it's jail time involved, because it's called coercion, so it's not like you're going to go to jail for it. But his reputation is what's on the line. It's what's at stake. And like I said, allegedly these people don't know each other. If that's true, and they haven't spoke beforehand, they got the same similar stories, that is a little concerning. I can't say it's true or false, but it's concerning. But I know now there have been secret talks as early as March, this last month, of course, March the 2nd, March the 4th, something like that. They went into secret negotiating about, they was doing a little, getting a little moderating there, I guess, getting the person to come in there and help them decide what they're going to do about this money issue, because it's all about money. It's always going to be about that. So even though he said that he was going to fight it, I'm sure that his lawyers told him that it'd be best to try to settle this thing, because trying to fight it, be it true or false, even if it was false, if we knew it was false, the problem with fighting something is that it hits the media and the information goes out all over the place, and people are not going to remember what was false. They're going to remember what they heard. They're going to remember what was written in the newspaper, and how your face keeps hitting the national news all day long, and that's what people are going to remember. So sometimes people are going to go in, they're going to settle things because they don't want to bring attention to themselves. But I little be concerned sometimes when I hear about some of these people, some of the ages I thought was a little old to be caught up in this type of stuff. I don't know. I know when I was 17, I would never be convinced to have a relationship with a man. I know that much. There's nothing he could have told me other than giving me drugs and rendering me unconscious. They were going to allow me to be coerced into doing anything with a grown man or any other man. So I can only speak for myself. So I am a little bit concerned about the ages of the people at the time, that they should have known better to not to do it either way. And I'm not making it right. And sometimes people say, well, yeah, you don't understand because this person was such an iconic figure and they thought that it was the right thing to do. I don't know. I mean, we heard the rumors about, him paying for people full college educations, putting people up in apartments where the apartment is paid for a year or two. That means these people are old enough to be in an apartment, old enough to get on their own. What are they doing? Are they having these and even if they were having these relationships of their own free will, that's not illegal as long as they were of age. But the problem is he's Bishop Eddie Long, and if you're Bishop Eddie Long and you're engaging in relationship while married, and even if you were not married with boys, it's contradictory to what your beliefs would be, and it would cause your reputation to be ruined as a bishop of a mega church of those many members. Some 10,000 people are members of that mega church in Atlanta. Now, this is just the update. We're going to keep bringing more updates in because right now, like I said, in secret negotiation that came off of Fox 5 iTeen News out of Atlanta. That's where the information comes from. People can go out there and look it up for themselves. So I'm not making any of this stuff up, but that's where it comes from. But I'm sure at these negotiations, my understanding, based on the report that I read, that the 4 men in the room, now who's giving this information, I don't know, because there's only so many people in the room. It's the 4 men, their lawyer, because they are represented by the same person. It's the bishop, his attorneys. And I understand, from what I understand, an insurance company, the insurance company that represents the church, I guess, and the person that's doing the mediating. So who's talking? I don't know, but somebody's talking because they're saying that the 4 men in the room allegedly was cursing at the bishop and telling him about the things he had done to them, and that the bishop had zero response. And that might be, if he didn't respond, I wouldn't be surprised, because I'm sure his lawyer probably doesn't want him to engage in any conversation with them anyway. I'm sure he's taking directions from his counsel. But someone is telling something, because it ain't that many people in the room. So someone is dropping information. Be it true or false, I don't know. But this thing has been quiet lately. At least maybe it's business in Atlanta because it's happening in Atlanta. But it hasn't raised to the level of the national news that it did last year. But I said that I would keep everybody updated on it, and that's the new update. So if this started going on in March, there has to be some type of resolution, because I don't think the bishop wants to go to trial. Because whether he did or did not do what they said, just the fact that they're going to come out and make these allegations is going to be huge. And there's going to be a media circus. And I don't think the bishop wants that. I did get a little concerned, and I'll say it again, when the bishop was sending pictures of himself from his cell phone to young men, because I didn't see the logic behind that. Why would the bishop send pictures of himself? I don't get it. Obviously, he's a guy who spends a lot of time in the gym, look like he keeps his physique in good shape. But I can't understand why would he send pictures of himself to anyone other than his own family, to anybody else. Not those type of pictures. Even though he had on, workout clothes, the top and the bottom, but still, just the fact that it was a spandex type of material and obviously tight fitting, and it didn't seem to go with the Kango hat. But I'm not a fashion designer, but it seemed a little odd. But that's just my opinion too. What do I know? But I'm going to continue to bring that story to you each time there's something going on and I find out about it. I'm going to come back and do a new update. Because like I said, it hadn't been making its media rounds as it did the first time. So we're going to continue to do that at Roosevelt Live. We'll continue to feed you the information. Continue to stay tuned for the show. The show is getting moving now as we're coming around to the halfway point of the 4th season. We're really picking up speed here. So you can continue to watch Roosevelt Live every Tuesdays, and repeats itself on Fridays, 6:30 to 7:30. And you can continue to email me at liveroosevelt@gmail.com. You can continue to check out segments of the show, youtube.com/Roosevelt Live, or you can get the DVDs, the best of Roosevelt Live that you may have not seen.